Okay, we're going to start this podcast with the exciting sound of me looking for a Rennie.
Bang, bam, 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 bang, bang, bam, 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 bam.
I don't have one. I'm just going to have to get by.
Oh no, gonna be gassy.
Oh, what?
Gassy and curmudgeonly as we
Yep, that's
decry the end of cinema.
me. So, what would you do if you could go really small?
If I could go really small, smaller than I already am. I'd develop
what would you do?
I'd develop the biggest inferiority complex ever. And then I'd and then I'd run for government, and half the people in the country would stop paying attention to that, and maybe I would as well. And then I'd marry a society man, and then I'd hire a foreign maid. It's the British dream, and then I'd write an autobiography about honest politics or something. It's a criticism of many people. That joke. Some would not call it a joke.
Some would call it more a damning indictment of where we are and how we got there. But
pretty much.
That's why we are where we are.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not the sort of man to come up with a solution to that. I'm just a man to just throw a few ideas at the wall and see if they stick spaghetti-like to the tiles.
Isn't that all that Dominic Cummings ever did?
Or didn't do.
Or didn't do. And it was good enough for him.
Stupid cue-ball-headed cunt.
Welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that doesn't have to win. We all just have to lose. I'm Paul the Conquistador.
Science with Paul's. Paul Science.
Absolutely, that's the kind of line read that I came here for. Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Thank you, Mark Douglas. Do you remember the Sunderland Film Contest from Shooting Stars?
No, I don't, but I can imagine it.
They did Falling Down with Michael Douglas with Vic Reeves doing a pretty passable American accent, just smashing up a newsagent mildly. And then the narrator coming over the end, "Good luck, Mr. Michael Douglas."
I do remember that. That's fucking brilliant. And I just remembered now, we were shown Falling Down in my A-level psychology class.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a thing to do to children.
Our teachers had given up at that point. I think that was the teacher that was later fired for flirting with female students.
Oh, that's interesting, mate. I had an RE teacher who had full-on sex with a student, and the judge later declared that she had seduced him because I lived in Kent. Thanks, Kent.
It's full of Kents.
It's written on the signs. Yes. Well, I'll tell you what's written on the sign that's up ahead of us is end of the dang line, because we've travelled over 40 years of summer blockbusters to arrive here.
Oh.
To this very year that we're actually literally in. This very summer or spring. To a movie that we believe to be emblematic of all the worst qualities of modern blockbusters. It's Artemis Fowl. No, it's not. It's our very first Marvel film, actually, bringing us full circle back to our very first episode, which criticised the then extant DCEU, which is the kindest thing I've ever said about it.
That is DCEU.
It was. I'm willing to say that now. We criticised it for trying to copy the Marvel formula. You had your award-winning metaphor for joining a marathon at the last minute, desperately trying to pin a badge to yourself as you cross the finish line.
Oh, that was good. Wasn't it?
We made fun of the DCEU for trying to copy the Marvel formula.
Yeah.
Without the necessary time and care. But where has that time and care gotten us now? Would terrible failure have been a kinder fate than mediocrity? Write in and tell us, folks. And which one you picked.
Yeah, because we're not actually going to cover that.
No. You let us know. We're going to talk instead about Antman and the Wasp. Quantumania.
Yeah.
People still need help, Dad. That's why we made this. It's like a satellite for deep space, but quanta.
Wait a minute. You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm. Turn it off. Now!
This is the third Ant-Man movie, the second Ant-Man and Wasp movie, the first movie of the fifth stage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the 31st film in the franchise since its inception. Since its inception 15 years ago.
Easy for you to say.
Sure is. Ah, my God, is there little of interest in the production notes. This was cranked out and produced by the numbers. Same director as the last two, Peyton Reed, who infamously replaced Edgar Wright in the first movie.
Famously.
He's a comedy director without style or ambition, a workman hired to get a project done within time and budget, a very common feature of the second wave of Marvel directors.
Great.
And he is he is the only one that still remains. Obviously since the third stage, we've got a different way of getting sort of indie darlings and press ganging them into a giant feature, and then getting the second unit to do most of the actual work, which is why it all looks so average, and then giving them a paycheck that we promise will actually mean they get to make something interesting later, only for them to find out that because of Marvel, there's actually no production or distribution method to accommodate that.
Yay!
So, yay, cinema! Good luck! Good luck, Nia DaCosta.
Whoever you are. Wherever you are.
Candyman, bitch! Oh, God. Maybe the Marvels will be great. That's the film, The Marvels, not the Marvels.
Yeah.
Going forwards. We shall see. I wonder what Chloe Zhao's up to these days. So, the screenplay was written by Jeff Loveness, a writer on Rick and Morty, seasons 4 and 5. Specifically, the one where Morty gets a dragon. Story Train.
Ooh, I like
the
that.
Glorzo episode.
Okay. I like Story Train. I like the dragon one.
Yep, Story Train was good. Vat of Acid episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Mr. Nimbus episode. And the season 5 finale. I have no memory of half of those.
Mr. Nimbus rings a bell as well.
It's something like they crash in the ocean, and then Rick has to go and meet the king of the ocean or something, who's Mr. Nimbus. I read the plot synopsis. I did not remember it.
Oh, okay, fantastic. No, I remember Mr. Nimbus, but I don't remember the actual episodes, apparently.
Well, Marvel have high hopes for this guy because he is slated to write the big Kang Dynasty film that they are building towards. 6 movies and 70 TV shows away at the moment. Could be more, or if we all stop watching them, could be much less.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's going to be 0.
Oh, boy.
So, who knows what wonders that could bring?
Who will literally know? Someone will see him and tell us.
Someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's me, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be you. How many films did you see last week?
A couple. 100.
Quiet week for you then.
I've been speed running them, watching them on times 2.
On speed.
Yeah, on speed. It feels like times 2. Is there anything here worth reporting? It got delayed by the pandemic, which Loveness says allowed them to do something new and weird. Presumably that script then got lost during the lockdown and they went back to the pre-one.
Well, there's a thing when a band in an interview says something like, "We're really happy with this one," then you know that it's going to be questionable, because it just means they did something weird, and they're like, "Yeah, we tried something. We were really ambitious. We did something brave." You know, oh no, you just didn't do a good one, did you?
Sometimes when you see people improvising an interview, you do see them suddenly figure out what they should have done. No, we really took them in a different in a different direction, and we took the character and sort of finished off that arc. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, that was the thing to do.
Dang it, that was the baby. Well,
that was the baby. That was the baby falling out the window, the Flash. Well, I'll tell you who's the new Scott Lang's daughter, though. It's not Emma Thurman, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was very disappointed to be recast, after she was in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And also a shame, since there are 2 other people who might have been recast a little bit more fortuitously. One of whom only with the benefit of retrospect, one of whom... Oh, yeah, definitely. So let's address the elephants in the room.
Yes.
Jonathan Majors, who plays the villain, Kang the Conqueror, stands accused of over a decade of abusive behavior by multiple people.
Yeah.
And although the case is complex and likely to develop much further in the next few months, building up to the actual court date, we tend to err on the side of believing the victims, and so won't be mentioning him again, specifically just the character in the plot rundown, and referring to him as Kang. So I hope that's okay for people, but be advised that is what we're up to. Also worth a mention, Evangeline Lilly was anti-lockdown and anti-vaccine during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
She said that Marvel were very supportive of her in the resulting controversy, assuring her that they didn't care about those things. Aw. She has 12 lines in this and is not attached to any future MCU movies. Also, they gave her a very unflattering haircut, which I think is vengeance.
A vengeance.
Is a vengeance.
Is this is the bombshell that you were going to drop on me? You were going to surprise me
No.
Oh, really?
No. That's
Fantastic.
a different, unrelated Evangeline Lilly thing. Very much more explosive, I think, than even.
Did she explode?
Than even the fact that she's an anti-vaxxer.
God. Okay. Well, this is what a morning. What a Monday morning this is for me.
What a morning you've had. It's completely changed your entire vision of Tariel. Is that her name?
Maybe.
I think so. L'Oreal from that movie. No,
was
L'Oreal's definitely the elf with the hair.
Well, I mean, if you're going to, if you don't
Why
call
does
it
it
L'Oreal,
hurt
then
so much? Because you're worth it.
classic. That was straight from the book. That one. That was Silmarillion, actually.
You have to pull in from that, even though they didn't have the rights. Oh, there was also a norovirus outbreak during production, just because
God.
sometimes God is paying attention. But tell you what, though, it only affected the crew and not any of the cast, so that
that's
feels like
good.
some sort of Ruben Östlund-esque satire of things.
Yeah. Well, that was because Evangeline Lilly didn't allow any of the crew to be in the same room as her. So
Yes. I mean, she's been practicing her own very specific form of social distancing for decades.
she has. She's actually one of the worst people I've ever known. And I know her, so I can say that.
Yeah, you've done it for years.
Yeah, but I will cease and desist if sent a letter demanding as much.
I'm willing to do that if people are willing to get that process started.
Yeah.
So, Bill Murray said he agreed to be in the movie because he likes Peyton Reed's Bring It On. Also money, lots of money.
I love money. I love Peyton Reed's money.
If anyone was just going to come out and just say, oh, I wanted money,
Yeah.
I feel like Bill Murray might be that guy.
I feel like it. I feel like Peyton Reed was looking at this movie and going, it is missing a Jeff Goldblum-esque from Thor character.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. And I feel like that's now going to become a mainstay, is older, memeable actor. Can we squeeze into this?
Is this Marvel's new version of attaching a cool indie director to the project? Is just, where can we find a white guy with credence?
Next one, you're just going to get a second of Patton Oswalt.
Just as, if you're lucky.
Just
if not, it's going to be Norm from Cheers.
Amazing. Can't wait for him to show up in the Marvels. Oh, God.
He's my favourite man.
Oh, also, okay, this makes sense. Because they had to move stuff around, delaying the Marvels and bringing this forward, and then also having Wakanda Forever, which took up all of their resources, including all of the special effects teams that would have been working on this movie. This movie suffered, and edits had to be made to sequences that had not been finished.
Right.
Fun.
It's just a piece. It's a piece on a chessboard for Disney, isn't it? And then, but also, it's not a chess piece. So they just swept it off.
You look in your hand and it crumbles to dust. Finus' mighty snap. Critics reacted to the film like reliving their daughter's death in a time loop. It's not great. I don't like it.
Not a fan, actually.
Dwight Brown at dwightbrowninc.com. Fucking cool name for a website if you're a critic.
INC or INK?
INK. This is where my ink is.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Fuck yeah. He writes, the thrill is gone. The Marvel Universe shoots a blank. A tiny one. Ooh.
That's the tiny one. Pop.
Just a little pop in your ear.
Ooh.
A little bit pleasant, actually. It's not.
Sorry.
The analogy's ended. Also, wanted to highlight Chris McCoy at the Memphis Flyer, who just says, this movie looks bad.
It does. It's very true.
It does. Well done.
Chris McCoy.
Very astute.
Something flyer. Memphis?
Memphis. Elvis Land.
Oh, okay. Memphis, yeah. It's Elvis Land, boy.
It's Elvis Land, son of a bitch.
It is a bad-looking tiny blank of a movie.
It is. Together, they've just about gotten to the heart of it.
Well, that means we can spend the rest of the time catching up.
Oh, but don't worry, mate. The public's gonna give us plenty to work with. Public, meanwhile, reacted to the film like a trip to Baskin Robbins. 31 flavors. Seize the yay.
Now, is that...
That is actually a tagline of Baskin Robbins.
Oh, just... What if we all die?
The person who came up with that is going to be in their mansion when the asteroid hits. and alien civilizations picking over the remains. Asteroid? No, just a nuclear war. They're going to be picking over the remains and be like, oh, this must have been a great person.
He was the hero. He was the leader of men.
With his mighty slogan. Well, Taz Olson at Google was another one of these heroes.
Ah, phew.
Who said, a really well-made movie that exceeded my ever-dampening expectations after Marvel's uninspired Phase 4. But this movie was not only funny, entertaining, and had spectacular CGI, speaking as someone who works with and actually knows more about what that means than 90% of movie critics. But it set up... no need to finish the thought he started before the parentheses, but it set up things for what may actually be a really great Phase 5 and 6 if they can keep it up like this. Oh. Evangeline Lilly was in White Chicks.
Was she one of the...
I think she was one of the friends.
Cool girls. Okay.
Yeah, the ones who sing that song. Which is the song?
Oh.
Yeah.
1,000 Miles.
That's the one.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
She was Terry Crews.
Doing that aggressive little dance. Oh, God. Fuck, there's a surprising amount of that movie up in the old ticker, you know.
It's going to stay there.
2 men provided voices for Quantum Nauts. And they are both multi-men. One of them is Roger Craig Smith, who was in Planes as Rip Slinger, the most finger-blasting...
the most finger-banging of them all.
He was the plane that fucked!
Son!
Go back and listen. It was our kids' episode. And Jennifer's Body, where he played the role of voice actor.
Ah. Like Bob Balaban in Lady in the Water.
Yeah, there was an extensive sequence in that movie. It's set inside of a dubbing studio. It got quite meta because they ran into the person dubbing Megan Fox. It was that guy. It was
Is that? I don't know if you're joking.
It's not.
I haven't seen Jennifer's Body.
No, that's not true.
That's a shame.
It's very much outside of the vibes of Jennifer's Body. You haven't been watching the movies that you haven't appeared on? You monster.
Well, I just thought, oh, okay.
Catch up now.
I'll go do that now.
Yeah.
And
start with Robin Hood.
With the Russell Crowe.
Yeah, the Russell Crowe. Just for context, so you can prepare yourself for the Kevin Costner.
I've seen that. I remember Alan Rickman's death scene and other things.
Because it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more. Speaking of hurting more, Matthew Wood was the other Quantum Naut. And he was in The Phantom Menace. We have cried him before because he was in The Phantom Menace as Bib Fortuna. Attack of the Clones as Magaluf. And also that earned him a promotion up to General Grievous in Revenge of the Sith.
Wow. Okay.
And then he was also in the Emoji Movie as additional voices.
And in Jennifer's Body as voice actor.
Yeah, as voice actor. They were there together.
Yeah.
Oh, the famous voice acting twins. I can't believe they did a cameo.
Mr. Actor.
Meanwhile, finally, the most significant 3-man, and it's kind of unfortunate because it's just a cameo in this, but Owen Wilson is of course a 3-man after much more memorable and deserving roles in The Haunting and Anaconda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful man.
Yeah, it's a bit of an anticlimax to have him just squirt out at the end there.
Yeah, still. That was
film's a shit, mate.
That was the best scene.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free. Shit, mate.
Your films are shit, mate, and the film has 46% on Rotten Tomatoes, 48 on Metacritic, 75% on Google, God help us, and was actually the first MCU movie not to break even in its theatrical run. Maybe.
Really?
Maybe it won't be the last.
Probably.
So, Paul, you mechanized organism designed only for whatever it is you're doing at the moment.
You talk to ants.
What's one thing about Antman or the Wasp, Quantumania, that made you want to not be a dick?
Happy birthday, Paul.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to all of us. It's the shitty cake at the end that
oh right
that he gets from his horrible Baskins Robbins boss.
Oh yeah,
his Boskin Robbins.
Yeah.
And it's got a tragic looking ant and birthday is misspelt. And I just want to wish everybody a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, everyone. Have you celebrated Biff Tannen and what he means to you today?
Have you adhered to the principles of Biff? As you should have, as I've asked you all to.
Don't be a butthead.
Or have you just... Yeah, don't be a butthead, be a biffhead.
That's the religion's slogan. And it's all very applicable. Oh,
yeah.
All right, Paul. Well, that sounds great. What happens in it, though? Yeah. What happens in Ant-Man and Waspy Quantumania?
In Ant-Man and Wasp, Quantumescence, It begins with a sort of voiceover extended montage of how great Scott Lang's life's going. And I'm happy that it's not just a mean joke at the expense of Ant-Man.
Oh, isn't that
I'm just going to
sweet?
stop bullying him for a bit.
It kind of is, because
It's
they
nice.
mistake him for a different Bugman.
Only one old man
Only
does
one
that,
old
the
man.
Stanley stand-in.
Everybody else stand and... Yeah.
The Stanley.
We also had the excellent theme tune to... actually, before that, I do ruefully turn off Shaun of the Dead in order to watch this. For the third time, no less. And then, yes, CGI nonsense immediately, but better than last week, Independence Day. And we get Michelle Pfeiffer, who is kicking it in Tint Town when, weird things happen. Some guy shows up. And then, welcome back, Cotter.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back.
My life doesn't really make sense. I used to ask myself a lot of questions about that. Scott, you're a divorced ex-con. How are you an Avenger? Why are you time traveling with Captain America? That doesn't make sense. A lot has changed about my life, but everywhere I go, people ask me the same thing.
Can you take a picture with my dog?
That's the
Yeah,
sitcom for which this is the theme that we're hearing. And it, sets me up, mate. Sets me up for an epic adventure.
Well,
Welcome back,
you already.
welcome back.
God, I don't know what this is.
The music that plays over that sequence. 3 times! 3 times I've seen this!
God, I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine watching any film more than once. Just don't see the point.
It's monstrous.
But with this, everything's going really well. Scott Lang's got a book out. He's reading it. People appreciate it.
It's his book he's
And,
written. It's not just a book he's gotten out and started reading.
It's just
He's got a book out, look!
oh fuck, he's got a book out. Run, everyone. He reads a book and everything's going well. But oh no, jail's calling.
Oh no.
Yeah,
That's a shame. We meet,
'cause
his recast daughter who's gotten herself put in jail for social justice. Oh, these woke kids.
These kids, oh god, Paul, God. Oh, I just wish they'd just fucking die. I hate them.
I
hate
actually
kids.
think that they should just put up with the fact that the world is ruined. We got to have fun. And it wasn't our fault, it was our parents' fault that it was all ruined. We had no part to play and nothing we could have done about it. And now they just need to, we're on the way out.
Suck it up.
We need you to turn the lights off
Fuck
when
it
it's all
off.
over.
Yeah. That'll save your tears, won't it, Greta Thunberg?
Oh, God.
I obviously don't agree with what I just said.
I would like to take the strongest stance possible against what I just said.
I've never agreed with it. I've never had any control over it, and I just want to distance myself from it for going forward.
Yeah, and I will be participating in any action necessary to ensure that I don't get away with it. So
yeah, you hear that, Greenpeace?
They go home. They go home with their social justice daughter, and they check in on the level of effort that Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas are willing to put into things these days.
So, Cassie, did you make any new friends in the slammer this time?
Grandpa.
This time? Was there a last time?
I mean, last time barely counts.
I didn't know that. Why didn't you call me?
Because I knew you'd be like this.
I would have just broken you out with ants.
All right, you know what? Family meeting. Could we have a family meeting?
Isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, about this, about everybody being so fine with this. Look, you want to help. I get it. I do, Cassie. I really do. But I don't want you wasting your life.
At least I'm still trying to do something with mine.
I literally saved the world.
Oh, did you? Well, yeah, you never mentioned that before. Everybody's got saved the world.
How is that for you, Scott? You should write a book about it.
Ha ha, hilarious. Yeah, you're welcome for all not being dust.
And they've agreed to put in just as much effort as their script writers.
It's a marriage made in heaven. There's a dinner scene so natural you could just swear at least 2 of these guys were at the same set on the same day.
Whoa, don't go making crazy claims, Paul.
Norovirus surging through them.
They cling to life and reality with every last iota of strength. And they all pick on Scott Lang for a bit.
They do.
Unreasonably.
And then the daughter lets slip that she's been messing around with ants, just like her old man and his old man. So, I can't
fuck
remember the
off.
relationship between Michael... father-in-law now, I think.
Father-in-law,
That's right.
yeah. Oh, my father-in-law.
My father-in-law, he messes with ants, and they have introduced the idea that they have ants that are able to create technology, and they brush past that very quickly. But then I do have to think, what level of reality do the people living in the MCU accept now? Everything's nonsense. Oh.
Space wizards, Paul.
Yeah, I mean that monkey seems to be playing chess with that interdimensional, multi-limbed jelly, but that's probably fine.
But socialism in an ant colony.
I'm not having it. Yes, they
You
still.
hear that, Greta Thunberg?
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer asks her, oh, you've been working on the quantum realm? Yeah. Why didn't you ask me? We literally just had a conversation upstairs where you said you didn't want to talk about it ever.
3 minutes ago.
3 minutes ago.
Very, very clearly stated you don't want to talk about it again.
There were a lot of very character developing scenes, but they had very complicated special effects between that scene and this one, so they had to be cut.
Yeah. Anyway, but I could have told you. Okay, do you want to tell us now? No, I told you I don't want to tell you.
There's no time. She's been also all teens in the MCU are geniuses who achieve exactly what they set out to do, but with terrible consequences. It'd be great if there was one who's just like, I've invented a quantum machine that will allow us to communicate with other dimensions, and it's just like a cardboard box, and it's like, oh yeah, you're a teenager. I forgot not all teenagers are like brilliant genius level people who can invent whatever I need for the plot. But oh no, she's been sending a signal down to the quantum verse. Terrible if that went wrong right this second while she's demonstrating it. So Pfeiffer starts to panic. It's like, turn it off. Tell us why first. No, it's that. Actually, in this instance, it's fair enough to turn it off first. That'll take a second.
Yeah, but it's very much a Michelle who cried wolf
at this stage.
Yeah, and tell you what, egg on everyone's faces at this stage.
No,
mate, because she turns it off by
what?
What?
No, it's not. No.
Well, right now when she's
just now when she's brought them down, she's presumably turned this on a whole bunch of times. But this now,
this.
Oh, mate.
Well, this time they know that Janet. I forget her name is Janet. My nan's name is.
I'm pretty sure. Wait, one of them's Hope, the other's Janet.
Hope is Evangeline Lilly.
That's the one.
Because I just have to remember what she fills me with when I look at her now. And
for the future of this democracy and freedom of speech.
Yeah. And I know that Janet is Michelle Pfeiffer, and they know that Janet's around, and when Janet's around, then you've got to reverse the polarity on the quantum doowacky.
Later on, when they're surrounded by people with fearsome voices, and they say, Janet. I do remember that's quite an incongruous little...
Yeah.
Edith.
We're here for Janet.
I tell you what, at this stage they all deserve to get sucked into the quantum realm, which is exactly what bloody happens.
Oh, fuck off. No way.
Oh my god. Incidentally, the quantum realm is not so much what I thought it was, which is just the level of reality that exists at a subatomic rate and is therefore sort of vast and infinite in its hugeness. And if I entered the quantum realm here, I would be light years away from person sat next to me who entered into the quantum realm because of the level of scale that would exist between them. Mm-hmm. No, it's more like just a planet where there's a finite amount of space where you can bump into pretty much whoever you want in a day.
Yeah, it's inner space.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's like an alternate dimension that's just like a planet about as big as a country.
Yeah, it's like a planet, but not with any terrain that would justify shooting anything on location.
Certainly not, Marvel. So...
No.
Yeah, everyone does their best to look at any of this as if it was real. That's going to be my ongoing note, so assume that's true until I say otherwise.
Okay, cool. I'll just assume that's a comedy prompt for me to say something.
They get in there, and... Well, they split into two groups, accidentally. Well, not on purpose. They get split into two groups. We've got Hope, Janet, and Michael Douglas.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got Antman and little Wasp. I can't remember what her code name
Shannon.
And Michael Shannon, his daughter Michael Shannon. They're the other group. So here we are.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, let wackiness commence.
Oh, let wackiness commence. Michelle Pfeiffer spends a lot of time explaining that there's no time to explain. Can you explain whilst walking? Wouldn't that be more useful and quieter than this loud argument you're having right now?
No.
Shut up.
Oh, okay.
We've got to get to June. So
yeah.
They have God, what's this? Where have that wacky gang been green screened to next? That'd have been great if I delivered that a bit more naturally, but there you go. It was a sentence by me. Incomprehensible.
Best this way. Yeah, well, I'll tell you where, Paul. Quantumania.
Quantumania. They run
Oh my
into
God.
some locals very quickly. I think Scott Lang and daughter. They encounter some weirdos, including Chidi from The Good Place. Oh, that's disappointing.
Oh, that's okay. That's something.
And a jellyfish.
And a jellyfish, which is my favorite character.
Oh,
It
yeah.
takes up 50% of my quick fires.
Meanwhile, Cassandra has endeared herself to these people in the 30-second head start that she had ahead of her dad. I just love her now.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Don't worry, guys. This guy's cool. Oh, well, if you say so.
Wow. I mean, you were cast to replace the actor who already had some sort of chemistry with Paul Rudd. So I trust you.
I implicitly trust her. Oh, and the other gang, they've gone off to meet with Dune because they need to get to meet one of her contacts in a hurry. And so
Ooh.
they meet a dude who wears goggles in places that are nowhere near where his actual eyes are. And, oh shit, they're fighting! She stabbed
Oh my
him!
God.
Oh fuck, what's gonna happen now? Wait. Oh my God, they're actually
Wait.
friends. And now they're laughing! They weren't
What?
mad at
This
each
is
other
ridiculous.
at all! I've never
This is
seen that
absolutely
before.
stupid.
I have never
Oh my
seen this before
God.
in a movie. My mind is blown.
I hate this so much. That's
Oh my
amazing.
God. No,
Oh.
they were fighting, right? And I was like, okay, she's fighting him.
Oh.
Then she, like, stabs him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she stabs him.
No.
No, she actually stabs him, and, like,
No.
it looks like she's killed him. But then, then it turns out that's okay. Oh my God. Maybe we could do that in every movie from now on.
If we started doing that in every... Can we put that back into old movies? Can we put that into Serpico?
Yeah, let's go back and put it into everything, I think.
Citizen Kane?
Maybe they could say, when they do it, maybe they could say, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, we do that, and that's, you know...
Every time we meet, we stare at each other and frown and say, you've got a lot of guts coming back here. And then we, like, tussle, but then we hug, and it's like, it's good to see you.
Because everyone is a fucking toxic alpha male piece of shit, Michelle Pfeiffer included, and that's just how we all communicate. We just have to. Well, we have to not show weakness for a good amount of time before we can show the weakness of friendship. And and I feel good.
I feel good about that. I don't know which group I'm talking about here, but everyone talks a lot. It's the same as being funny, I bet. I mean, to be fair, that has also been crucial to our philosophy.
Yeah, but for us, it definitely works because.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in the next scene, you got to assume that's the Hope ensemble.
Yes,
because
the group B.
Their whole thing is quips, and it's. Oh, Paul. I love me a good quip, and I love me a good quip that
I love a quip.
is delivered. I love me a Google
Awakingly.
Translate quip,
Yeah.
and this is pretty much what that is. There's lots of what's the word? Bad acting.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's a good word to use in this.
There's lots of
context.
bad acting in a bad film in this, and
Fair.
they're waiting for her contact. And I'll tell you who shows up, mate.
Wait, who shows up?
It's Bill Murray from
Oh,
Ghostbusters.
Bill
Do you remember
Murray!
him?
There's a lot of build up for what I know is going to be very disappointing. They really hyped the shit out of his appearance.
Janet Van Dyne? I thought you were dead.
He's had some sex with Janet.
Yes.
In the past, she was down here for 30 years.
Yep.
And a woman's not gonna go 30 years without,
Yeah, about hooking up with Bill
cheating on
Murray.
her husband.
It
Yeah.
happens.
And it happens. He was younger back then.
Yeah.
He had
She
he had
says,
shapely cheeks.
"Yep." Later on, she says he used to be charming, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
There is actually a moment where Bill Murray, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Michael Douglas are sat around a table with each other, and you just got to stop and think about that for a second. You just got to stop and think about the fact that happened, and it's incredibly boring somehow.
Two of them. Human, like us.
Human. That's the word. Totally forgot what you call yourselves up there. Human.
Are you not human?
Not technically, but yes. In the ways that matter.
Think of what that would have been like 20 years ago.
Yeah. I don't want him, mate.
It's best not
I just
to.
don't want to know.
For the most part, it's best
Yeah.
not to. But oh no, bloody Murray betrayed them all to the Conqueror. Ugh.
Oh,
Who'd have seen that
this
coming?
is ridiculous.
So they smash up the place and kill him. And, I see this director studied the Phantom Menace School of Action Choreography. Shot of someone shooting, shot of someone falling down. Repeat until your movie's over 2 hours.
Well, the problem is, they're like, okay, now we've got these 3 80-year-olds in one room. Let's all get them doing action.
That's why you get Evangeline Lilly, mate.
Oh,
physicality.
she's whipping around. Get the fucking Lily in here.
That's the action scene done, mate. Back to the exposition. And,
Oh,
oh no,
God.
another action scene already, is it? So, the camp that they've come to. There's a camp of tiny people in the Quantumverse who are refugees fleeing Kang's conquest. Yeah.
They mention Janet as well, and everybody goes, "Oh, Janet!"
Oh,
And,
because Janet...
what have you done, you mad
Oh,
fool?
just you wait till you find out what Janet did and what everybody must have reported that Janet did, because it's
Yeah.
incredibly easy to communicate. So,
Well, she told you, right? Because,
oh yeah,
of course you would. Of course you'd tell anyone that.
let me explain why this is my fault. He's such a mum. So, there's a tell you what though, I'm getting a bit confused about the tone, because what we're essentially seeing is a refugee camp being attacked by soldiers. What if Ant-Man could punch some guys, and every time he punches them, they make a goofy noise, like boing?
I think you're asking the question, what if? And I'm gonna say,
How much? Wait.
Paul.
It's time.
What?
It's time to introduce my least favorite thing Marvel has ever done. Possibly my least favorite thing that's ever been created in the last 20 years. The ugliest
Oh, I'm
fucking
curious.
concept and realization ever assembled. It's MODOK.
MODOK, yay!
Hope we get to
He's
see his
won
butt.
2 of my quickfires. Oh.
Just the nature of him, because I hated it. I hated it, Paul. It felt like every fucking right-wing troll's profile picture on Twitter.
There was something about it being so unrecognizably Corey Stoll.
Oh,
I
I
had to
forgot about your white
appreciate
guy thing. You know the name
That
Corey Stoll.
I recognize the faces of white guys.
You've
I didn't know. I had
retained-
to look up.
Okay.
I had to look him up to remember the name Corey Stoll. But I knew he was in Black Mass, and I knew he was in House of Cards.
Nobody says that sentence. I remember he was in Black Mass.
It's because I'd just been watching House of Cards, and I liked him in it. And then we saw Black Mass whilst I was watching House of Cards. So
Back in
so that's
2016,
like,
the year that it was okay to watch that movie.
I don't know what year it was. That's not how my memory works. You have that. The years are my white guys' faces, and white guys' faces are your years.
As I count down the white guys' faces of my life.
I think that is how. I mean, that's probably just a representation of my traumas, isn't it? It's just the various white men in my life.
Oh, God.
But,
that is horrible, isn't it, the concept?
Yeah. Oh, I do feel more awake now, though, so that's good.
Yeah, well...
So Corey Stoll's here as MODOK.
He is, and the writers and directors clearly think that his monologues being interrupted are funny, so they're going to do that a few times.
The day you broke me, banished me down here.
Wait, Darren?
Made me the ultimate weapon. A mechanized organism designed only for
Well, MODOK.
That is funny, Paul. They've established that in previous Ant-Man movies and in this particular moment of the podcast.
I love it. So, yeah. So they do that a few times. What's this? The fun thing... Oh, yes, the fun thing about being
What's
two
this?
groups of them is that we get to see them both learn the same things, like 5 minutes apart from each other.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I love it.
Not from Michelle Pfeiffer, though.
Oh, no.
God, no.
God, no.
She's-
Heaven
no.
forbid. Well, she does
St-
explain at this stage who bloody Kang the Conqueror is. He crash-landed in the quantum realm from the multiverse. Janet helped him, but then he got his suit back, went back to being evil, so she bailed, and now he rules the place.
Yeah.
But somehow hasn't escaped, in spite of being in Loki. So...
In spite of being in Loki, and in spite of having, in the words of Michelle Pfeiffer, having tech is centuries ahead of anything they've got.
But they needed her
He is
to
not in-
figure out how to get out of there, so...
They need the PIM particles, and Paul, I haven't put enough effort into remembering specifically what PIM particles are.
No need
Do
to
they
do that.
come from Michael Douglas, or are they?
I seem to remember there was a finite amount of them, because isn't that the whole point of Endgame, is that there aren't that many?
That's true.
Maybe after Pym came back, though, there were more.
Yeah, and also maybe, you don't need Pym. You just find something else. Have Kang particles.
Kang particles.
And surely. But he's not. But he hasn't escaped, and maybe that's for a reason. And
he's here now, and he's arrested Scott and Cassandra. I think her name is. And Cassie, there you go. And he wants Scott to steal the thing he needs to escape. So he threatens Cassie a bit. Oh, there's her name written down. And
oh, there we go.
He picks her up and turns her around a bit. I'll do whatever you want.
I can move everything with my mind. In fact, I just click a finger and I can do pretty much everything. But I do need you to go.
Yeah, I really need you to steal this thing. I can't get in there. Can't be doing it, mate.
It's crazy, really. The blind spots, the 2 blind spots in my future tech is getting out of here, which which surely you'd think priority, but also figuring out some way to get into that core.
Yeah.
By making myself small or making someone small, anyone small. But I can't believe I just forgot to look into that.
It's been a long time. So yeah, he needs him to steal the thing. Oh, he can travel infinitely throughout this dimension. That'll make this place have some nice scale. So they instantly transport to where they need to steal the thing. And he jumps into the sort of place where the thing he needs is. And it's some sort of weird space where, it's some sort of quantum space where every choice he's going to make is going to create a copy of him. Ah, cool. Every choice he makes. But also if he just does the same thing. And some of them have a different costume somehow.
Well, you've got to get out of that annoying scene as well. So you have to, eventually you just have to suspend disbelief or just kill the idea dead. And that's what they do. But it's great, isn't it, when they get in there and you realize it's the probability zone, and it's just every time he separates, it's because of a choice, and you think, oh god, how are they gonna?
An unseen
This
choice.
is really interesting. How are they gonna get this across? Like that,
just bickering, but also an unseen choice because we never see him decide anything because this happens in a giant empty space where there's nothing to be decided upon. He walks towards the only point of interest and splits. Because he decided not to fart in that moment? But half of him did.
I mean, if that's not how you live your life, Paul, then I need to...
I've got
a lot of learning to do.
One of them is the guy who would have put his left foot first. The other one is the guy who would have put his right foot first. Now they're so different.
One of them is the one who said, don't think of pedophiles right now. And then thought of them.
And one of them is the version of me that left that in. So...
But... changed his whole life for that ethos.
It changed everything. Oh, speaking of changing everything, the Wasp is here. Remember her?
No.
I've been checking out the poster, mate.
Oh, don't do that.
I wouldn't do that, mate. She flies down to help Scott. Agency, and he tries shooting a disc at the thing he needs to steal. Oh man, doesn't work. And that sad music in slow motion indicates that this is a very serious moment. He's failed. What's he gonna do now? And what's bloody Thanos gonna do to his bloody daughter now? The Wasp is here, so they shoot loads of the discs and it works fine. Oh,
brilliant!
That was scary for 10 seconds.
It was just about not having enough discs.
That was the main
hubris.
Can't we all relate to that, mate? Haven't you found that conversation that you just don't have enough discs?
Pretty much today included. Do you remember that conversation at the beginning of the film where it was like, to pack more than one disc? Not me, Antman.
That's my
philosophy. And then everyone picked on him.
And Evangeline Lilly rolls
I'm
her
a
eyes.
one disc guy.
But anyway.
Well, at least you're not vaccinated, she says. What?
What? I can't believe he said that in this movie. So, and Bob Iger leans in with a thumbs up. So, Kang makes off with Pfeiffer. There's a bit of a kerfuffle, basically, and there's a Pfeiffer kerfuffle. A Pfeiffer kerfuffle. And Kang makes off with Pfeiffer, Cassie gets arrested, and the others are all left for dead in the desert. And the robot ants... the robot ants that earlier showed up... The robo ants from earlier show up even before you have a chance to wonder if they're okay.
Even before I remember that they were in this.
Just so you guys know, there's a problem coming up, this is how we're going to solve it. Just wanted you to know before we show the problem.
Oh, no, I really appreciate that, actually. God, if only we could have some sort of strong man like you in charge of everything.
Peyton Reed.
Be great.
So, Kang explains his original
day.
plan. He wants to build a better one.
So he does.
Of the multiverse, that is. So he's going to destroy it all and create a new perfect one. It's a stunningly original plan.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
It turns out all of...
Well, I'm excited, Paul.
Oh,
and there's 45 minutes to go. So
there's 45 films to go.
Only. How are they going to fit it all in, Paul?
There's actually too much. I think they actually need to do these as television shows because there's just a bit too much story to put into a movie, and movies are just like really short TV shows. There's actually no difference. So I think actually you could just, explore this a bit more fully in episodic television.
instead of a 2-hour 30 movie, we're going to have 6 half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
And really just flesh that out.
And we'll just make it as if it was a 6-hour movie and then just cut it arbitrarily at 30 minutes. And I think that's going to be it. That's going to be the way we go
And we'll
forward.
just put some artificial cliffhangers in every 28 minutes or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah.
Which is how I was writing the script anyway, so I think we're good. So, yeah, Cassius.
Initially wasn't an Ant-Man script. It was just a... Disney got me over to write 28 template scripts. And
this was the 6th season of The Wire, mate. Quantumania. Oh Jesus! So Cassie escapes and breaks them all out of It breaks out all the captured little people, and they all attack.
Yeah, okay.
And there's a big fight, which the good guys eventually win. And the way they do it is by shooting, and then you cut to a bad guy getting hit, and then you show another shot of shooting, and the bad guy gets hit.
Damn it! Just fucking. Only way to win these things.
If only they had more coverage footage of bad guys shooting and good guys getting hit, then they would have won.
But there's not much of it around, and
No.
Kang,
That's why you got to make friends with the production designer and the production secretary.
And Kang just killed those people.
Oh no!
So...
In his short-sightedness.
And then he put their kids in the R&D department. That's why he's bloody stuck there.
There was a moment where
Populism.
Scott menacingly yells,
You lied to me! Our word is our bond! Without that, we're nothing!
Different movie.
Yeah. No idea
Seen...
what the hell that's all about, but this is the guy writing the Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm looking forward to this now.
Can't wait.
They're all in a room at the end.
Oh, yeah. MODOK redeemed himself as well, but
MODOK redeemed himself.
whoever signed off on the design of MODOK did not. His redemption was foreboded, if that's a word, in a really dumb way. A way so dumb it might have actually been a parody. Maybe that was the best joke in the film.
I don't know what to be. Tell me what to be.
I don't know, just don't be a dick.
It's too late. Look at me. I'm such a dick.
It's never too late to stop being a dick.
Oh, I like jokes.
I like jokes. So yeah, they're in a room.
Yes.
They're in a room.
They're in a room.
Yeah.
They're in a room.
Well, portal.
And some of them get out of that room, get back to the real world.
Oh, good for them.
But Paul Rudd doesn't. And he focuses on stopping Kang from getting through.
But he's my favourite.
And without him, it's just
the Wasp.
And the Wasp.
That's a very unsuitable title. You'll have to fit in Blade. But luckily, unfortunately, you don't even have the Wasp because she comes back too and saves him. More of that agency she has. And,
wow. To be stuck there forever. Oh no, they've opened the portal again.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, Kang gets sucked off, and the heroes are stranded.
Yeah.
They share one last poignant kiss. Oh, they're a couple. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love you. What?
What? Are you sure? So this is genuinely their first direct interaction in the movie, I think. I genuinely think it is. I think it's the first time they've said words directly to each other and not addressing a group.
Yeah, it's usually just whenever Paul Rudd speaks, Evangeline Lilly looks slightly dubious, and then end of scene.
Yeah. To be fair, that's
and then they all have a go at him.
Pretty much been the relationship across these 3 fucking movies.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God, another portal. That was really getting boring. So, yeah, they go back and it's welcome.
Yeah, I was hating any emotional resonancy between characters. Let's all get the gang back together.
Oh shit!
We've got some more quips left over in the bin.
Yes, they go back and it's welcome back Cotter again, and somehow he still looks green screened into this San Francisco street. But the movie ends. It cuts to black on its strongest joke. Yeah, Kang will be back, but he won't be back. He might not be back, everyone.
Yeah, he might not be back now.
Or he might look a bit different.
Yeah. It might be
Evangeline Lilly.
Peyton Reed. Yeah.
Oh no! Damn it, Kevin Feige.
Damn it, everyone. Damn it, everyone.
Damn
Paul,
it, Janet.
This film.
Oh.
Damn it, Janet. If you'd have just told us anything, maybe this film would have been different.
Oh, do you want to turn that off? Yeah. The credits.
You've been watching the first of many Marvel shorts with his head.
Just common sense solves the problem. Oh, Tony, don't build a robot, probably go evil. All right. What
could have been.
What could have been.
Mm.
So, Paul, what do you make of that?
I'm not a happy man, Paul, most of the time. And this put a lot of that to the test. It was a bad film.
It was quite a bad film.
It was quite a bad film, but at least it wasn't engaging.
You've got to at least have that. At least it could just passively move over you, like a cold fart.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There was just, I think the main emotion I felt during this movie... Horny. And then after that, once that had died down, it was just disbelief that it was still going.
Right. Yeah.
2 hours, I remember having the thought, well, at least this isn't 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's gonna zip by. It's Marvel, so even if it's a bad one, it's gonna have some scraps of that Marvel formula to keep me interested. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for me absolutely defined by a lack of artistry. Everything is so perfunctory. That whole reverse shot thing is so emblematic of how everything is handled in this. There's no shot. You know, if you compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, not only is it better written with a real focus on characters in a way that doesn't just feel like we've written a backstory, we'll have characters explain it to each other and then hug. You know, we'll actually demonstrate things and have moments of pathos and drama, and when there is action, it'll change things for the character. But also just the way things are filmed, stylistic decisions that are interesting and keep you involved. It extends way past the action, because there's only really one incredibly good action sequence in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
And that's a fairly complex scene, because you're asked to delight in the annihilation of these poor, twisted hybrid creatures that the guy has created. And it's like, well, is it their fault? And it's like, well, fine. It's that moral complexity kind of is James Gunn's thing. You know, that's a whole other thing. But this, like, it's just nothing. It's just like all the bad guys are robots. You know, faceless. The action isn't fun.
Thing.
Yeah.
They're just these things that let off steam whenever you kill them, and it makes it really meaningless and unmoored.
Yeah. And it's just not fun. Like, the whole...
No.
If you look at the first two Ant-Man movies, which are not terribly good, sort of Ant-Man and then Ant-Man and the Wasp. Did it have a subtitle? No, it was just called that.
That was the subtitle.
Yeah, and the Wasp.
No. Is there a subtitle? Oh, no, it's just called this.
I can't believe that made it to the poster stage.
But it worked, damn it.
The fun of them, if there is such a thing, isn't in the characters, because I've always found Paul Rudd to be kind of awkward in these movies. I remember us talking about this when we went to the cinema, hoping to see the act of killing. Only they had sold out, so we saw Ant-Man instead.
I forgot about that. What a fucking letdown.
Yeah, and they were just like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess we'll see Ant-Man. And they were like, great, here are your 3D glasses.
Dickheads.
Damn you, Joshua Oppenheimer. So, yeah, there's... The fun of them, sorry. The fun of them was seeing things get bigger and smaller, at the very least. You know, seeing someone shrink down a car, chuck it, and then expand it again. A tank getting shrunk down to a keyring size. Yeah. And yes, the science doesn't make any sense, because according to the rules, the density should be the same, so it should still weigh the same as a tank. But, you know, fine, whatever. But that's the fun. In this crazy, out there, you know, bizarre universe, which to me just looks so ugly.
Oh, it's just got that brown Vaseline smear look.
Oh, God. It's part of the sort of psychedelic aesthetic that they've really embraced since Doctor Strange in 2016. They've really, pretty much, a lot of their movies have had this sort of big, bold color palettes, but they just smush together. There's no clear, coherent visual or, like, color goal, and so it does just all smush together into this sort of browny, purpley kind of mess. But scale means nothing down there, because nothing is, you don't know what should be big or what should be small, so the only thing they do is occasionally get big, but then when they do, there's nothing to do with the filmmaking to make you feel like they're big.
No. You're right. And I remember the second Ant-Man movie getting a better feel of Paul Rudd's strengths and playing more to that, like the fun group dynamic with his security team. And I feel like they upped that. They didn't even have that joke of somebody, like the Michael Pena telling a story.
Well, they didn't have his crew. They completely severed him from all of his support characters, which is fine. You can do that, but if you...
some of them show up in this movie voicing characters or
oh, really?
Like David Dasmalkian voices Veb, the jellyfish guy.
Oh, right.
And is it Katie O'Brien is in the other
Oh, is
Ant-Man
she? Because
movies?
I did like her.
Yes.
For a reason, we'll talk about her in a bit.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But it's it didn't have that, and it didn't have any. It didn't really have any opportunity for Paul Rudd to play on his strengths, except for a scene with what's the word? Unfortuitously casted Jonathan Majors. Or man, and my favorite Ant-Man moment is in Endgame, the Scott and Cassie reunion.
Oh, sure,
it's such a beautiful, heartbreaking moment, and it's played so well by Paul Rudd and his daughter, who was obviously recast for this movie, which was jarring for me. But they don't, even though they spend time together as father and daughter, there's none of that same chemistry or even attempt to connect in an emotional way. There are nods to it, and there are moments where Paul Rudd plays the father endearingly, and I really enjoyed those, and they'll be mentioned in the quickfire. But it doesn't really, instead of giving me anything emotionally resonant, it just gives quips, and the quips are bad. The script is flat quips, forced emotions, and convenient character motivations, and it's maddening. If the moments that I'm not bored into a stupor, I'm just frustrated. That on top of the CG and the general direction of it, it's just as you said, a very ugly looking film filled
really
with
is.
characters that are not appealing.
No, they're not. And I think, thinking back to that moment of them sort of reuniting, it's a moment that plays without dialogue, from what I remember. And I don't think
there is a line.
Unless what's the line?
It's something like, "Oh, you got
big.
You got big." And it's really sweet.
Yeah, it's one line, and for the most part, they let it play out sort of visually, and I don't think there was then subsequently a sequence of them sitting down and having her explain everything that happened in the last 5 years. So, no, and this movie, to me, the problem is, they never stop talking, and I think that's a symptom of Peyton Reed just not being a very talented director. This feels like a very screenwriter's movie. The screenwriter will have written out everything, leaning on dialogue, the sort of crutch of a not very good screenwriter, to just have characters say everything that they're feeling, that they're thinking, that they're, that they have to explain.
Doing. Yeah.
Everything is written. And so, the director just comes in and shoots that, page by page, line for line, with no real thought as to how to tell this in a visual way. And it just makes for a very dull trudge of a movie that takes place across a whole bunch of dialogue sequences and then some really uninspired action sequences.
Yeah, and the result of it all is being in the quantum realm made me feel silly. It made me feel like this is what people who think that comic book movies are for kids think comic book movies are like. And in this case, they're right. In this case, I felt like a silly child watching a movie that had been put together for a $5, and with all the care of people who were being paid less than a $5.
Yeah. It's also very generic. I mean, my God, the storyline of just they land, There's a bad guy. There are good guys. Our hero just wants to get home, but then learns that he's got to take part in the fight. It's John Carter of Mars, it's...
I'm sorry, listeners, if you can hear a war happening outside my window.
I'm sure it's fine.
The thing, like, the Marvel formula is... Like, the Marvel formula isn't the thing that was holding these movies back. It wasn't like a... it wasn't revolutionary. Well, it was in a sense, but it's a baseline. It's not just a baseline mediocrity. It's a carefully assembled equation of comedy, drama, action, and lore. It can produce bland and benign results, but deviating from it gets you this. I think.
Hold on. I mean, following it too slavishly, I think, ultimately gets you this. If you follow it thinking that just putting it in its most base, formula, like most of the best Marvel movies are ones that are willing to deviate and try and do something new with the thing. I think.
I don't know. I feel like that even though those are the best examples of the Marvel formula for me. My favorite ones.
Best examples of the Marvel formula feels like a bad, coming out of a movie being like, oh, that was the best example of the formula.
I think in like Infinity War, Civil War, some of my favorite Avengers. That to me is the Marvel formula at its best. And it allows drama and emotion and action to really stretch their legs and have an impact.
I guess I'm just disliking the idea of a formula to produce good movie. I'd like something to be a bit more ethereal than that, a lot less by the numbers. Follow the steps.
For sure. I would like that as well, but I just feel like this. I feel like Marvel has gotten where it is, as we've said many a time, through a lot of hard work and a lot of thought going into it. And I feel like, there is a. It's a business, it's a corporation, and they've got this formula, and it's kind of depressing, but it is what it is.
It's corporate art, isn't it? It's sort of mass produced, deliberately intended to appeal to the largest number of people by doing sort of very undemanding things. And it's interesting because I do remember the period where Marvel came along and it felt like a better alternative to what preceded it, because as we've now covered, there were a lot of decades of very poor filmmaking, and in particular there was a great gulf in the noughties especially between what was popular and what was considered to be good. And what was missing from the whole thing, from the whole Michael Bay, Gore Verbinski, Pirates of the Caribbean movies and Roland Emmerich and all the rest of it, what was missing was a baseline competence. Yes. Which Marvel was able to provide. A sort of the grammar of the movies makes sense for the most part. It sounds ridiculous, but this was beyond an awful lot of it still continues to be beyond a lot of filmmakers these days, especially Roland Emmerich.
Oh God, yeah.
And so it came along with this sort of idea, and also women were not introduced through shots of their butts, even though you had that Pearl Muter guy who was actively working against any reasonable or decent representation on screen. And that is one way in which Marvel has gotten better in the last 5 years or so, is that they are doing more about that. It's just it succeeded too much, I think, because we went from a period of having a couple of movies a year, and still plenty of room left for other people, to now this overwhelming domination, where we do have 3 movies a year at least, and TV shows, and so much content, and Disney is having such a toxic relationship with exhibitors.
Yeah.
And just guaranteeing that, that it's all they can show. They have this thing where, okay, if you're going to show our movie, it has to be showing in at least one screen all the time. Which means that if you run a cinema that has one screen, you either become, that theater, or, you don't get to do one for me, one for them kind of programming. So
that's horrendous.
It is. It's depressing, and it's kind of nice that the grip is starting to slacken. And I think what this movie really represents is a shift away from essential viewing. Because up until now, it's been the case that a new Marvel comes out, you have to go see it in order to be up to date on the ones that you do care about. That was the magic of... not the magic, but the magic trick they pulled.
But it was also fine because you knew it was going to be fairly enjoyable.
You knew that, yeah, again, baseline competence is what you were going to get from it. And again, yeah, you would have, like, good things sprinkled around these things, usually as the result of hiring, very good directors.
Yeah.
Into these franchises, which is why Phase 2 often is considered the weakest, because they did have a lot of sort of jobbers in that period with, James Gunn and, Winter Soldier guys accepted. Although they were jobbers as well, they just turned out to be quite good.
Is it the
jobbers.
Russos?
The Russos, yeah. They came from television as a background, which generally speaking was the background they were drawing from Phase 2.
Yeah.
And, Phase 1 as well is where Whedon came from. But oh, where was I going? So now it's not essential. The idea is it's like comic books. There's loads of movies out there. You will go and see the ones that have people you like in it. And I don't know if that's the anticipated effect, but it's going to be the effect because nobody, especially your target audience, who, it's worth pointing out, now are too young to have seen the first few movies in cinemas.
Yeah.
The 15 years ago was Iron Man. Your target audience, which continues to be sort of teenagers and 20-somethings, are reaching the age now where they haven't seen those.
Yeah,
so
God.
You're going to have to make these stand alone a lot more. And that is one thing this movie does do, is kind of stand alone, in spite of the fact they spend the whole thing setting up a villain for other stuff.
Fucking hell. It stands alone like a racist at a barbecue.
Yeah. It does.
Well, you continue
awfulness.
standing alone. That's good. That works for the rest of us. It's you go.
I think what depresses me most about it, and about the average Marvel movie in general, for the most part, is that there's just no eye to legacy. There's no eye to the future beyond the next movie.
No,
everything feels like an installment. Yeah, this feels like an episode of a particularly like CSI level of storytelling here.
EastEnders that plays 5 times a week.
There's no consideration to the idea that Antman and the Wasp: Quantumania might want to be screened sometime in the future, or that it might be worth revisiting. This was literally made for the opening box office, for the first few weeks, and then for a streaming release. It is content. It is in no way art, or even just, you struggle to call it a film at this rate. The basic requirements of it being a film are so arbitrarily met.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's quite dispiriting.
The Marvel formula includes having intuitive, free-thinking people working on a project. Like, weirdly, this formula allows for people to mess with it a bit and to take these risks. And it's as you say, these people are just, their job is to write a script, not to tell a story or to make art. It's just it's my approach to playing management sims. It's just, well, I've got to produce something to get to the next level.
Yeah.
So I just need to put something else out.
Yeah. And I think the problem is
sad.
They always were able to tease you along to the next crucial point with the first 3 things. It's like, this is all going to build up to the next Avengers movie, and that's going to be the big event. Or, this is all going to build you up. And I think that's what's depressing too, is when you see people talk about this movie, as I did when I was scrolling through the various reviews on Google, which is an interesting way of looking at what people say about this sort of thing. They're all talking about it in terms of contributions to the universe. Oh, this was good for setting up this villain. It's good to see this fleshed out more. It's good to establish this. And it's like, you're talking about the potential for the elements of this movie to be used in the future. Yeah. But what about this movie? What about this as a standalone thing that you just spent £15 going to the cinema to see on its own? Like, how is that experience? And it's just depressing to see them talk about it like that.
Yeah, I mean, it means the whole experience no longer feels bespoke and like a crafted thing, which anyone, whatever your criticisms of Marvel, the MCU might be, it always felt like like you say, a special thing that was building towards this showpiece or a spectacle, and now it no longer has that bespoke personal feel. And Antman Quantumania is just the apotheosis of that.
It really is. The other day, I actually decided I would go back and compile a ranked order of my favorite MCU movies.
Hmm.
And I thought about, okay, let me first of all pick out the movies that absolutely have to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
And I did a pass, and I didn't get to 10.
Huh.
There were not, amongst the 31 movies, there were not 10 that stood out to me as, oh yeah, I love this. This has to be in there.
Wow.
It was...
Okay. I'm doing that now. I'm making a list, and I'm gonna see. Is it specifically from is it from the first 4 phases?
No, just anything. This list has everything in it. And let me see. I've got my list here. Let me see the point in which I stopped thinking these are great movies that you can just watch on their own. I think I'm at 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. After 7, they're just movies I like from this franchise in the context of it being a giant franchise. But in terms of movies I think can stand alone and be accepted as a great film, it's 7 out of 31. And that just, to me, suggests maybe all of this was a bit of a magic trick. That they had this momentum, that they built up this universe so that any time you saw any one part of it, you actually saw the whole of it. And the cumulative effect of both good and bad movies creating meaning and connection over an extended amount of time. But do the individual films hold up outside of that context? I'm starting to get doubtful.
I've got 11.
Wow.
Infinity War, Endgame, the 3 Cap-Ams, 3 Spider-Mans, the 3 Guardians.
All 3 Spider-Mans.
I love the Spider-Man trilogy, yeah.
As a trilogy? Okay, what's, like, Far From Home, when you recall it, when you think of it, and, like, as a cinematic experience? It's up there.
Yeah. I loved every single one of those. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I really liked every single one of those. Yeah. And but after that 11, that's probably when it gets, because I liked Iron Man 1 and 3.
Yeah.
But did I love them? No, I don't really rewatch those. But
yeah.
And
I remember
never thought much of the Thor movies.
Iron Man 3 was interesting. I went back and watched that out of context a few years ago now. I think I wanted a Christmas action film, so I thought, oh, Iron Man 3 set at Christmas. And again, watching that out of the context of its franchise and out of the context of its series, I did remember I remember finding it off-putting in certain ways. There were parts of it that I like a lot, but I think, I don't know, maybe I'm just going off of Marvel. Maybe I'm falling out of love here. Because... yeah, my connection to it in a sentimental way feels weakened.
Is it because the later movies are kind of showing you the wires a bit of how the whole thing operates, or it just being, or like the extreme versions that we're seeing now kind of sours the comparatively innocent beginnings?
Maybe, or maybe the dust is just settling a bit. They do say you should always wait, 12 years or so to see, if a movie truly does have the staying power over time.
Yeah.
And maybe now, we're getting to 15 years now since Iron Man, the very first one. And, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of moving past them or something. It just, they don't excite me in the same way anymore. And I do feel exhausted when I look at the slate now. In a way that I imagine, to be honest, what's interesting is we are perhaps being confronted with our own nostalgia in a way that previous generations have not. Because time was, the Indiana Jones trilogy would come out, and then 20 years would pass with nothing. That's 20 years of you having the Indiana Jones movie in a vault in the back of your head that maybe you rewatch now and then, but you don't have to constantly reappraise it and get reminded of it and experience more of it.
True.
And so it has a chance to sort of solidify and become more a part of you. Whereas with this, we are asked to absolutely readdress our relationship with this big, somewhat soulless multi-million-pound conglomerate every few months. Pretty much constantly, actually, when the TV shows are taken into account. Secret Invasion is happening now.
Yeah, it's... We've never had anything quite like this. There's never been a machine like this to take something that may have meant something. And, the same applies to Star Wars. Disney
in general, I think.
yeah, pretty much anything owned by Disney, isn't it? It's just the ruthlessness with which a piece of art is commoditized.
Yes, I think that's it.
And it's you feel the absence of a soul. Even if people working on the individual movies have some, feel like their soul is going into it. It's a business model, and now it's, if the MCU was a business model, it wasn't the main feature. It wasn't the most obvious thing about it in the beginning.
No,
but
it
now
wasn't.
The fact that it has come to the forefront maybe does, that might affect how you look at earlier movies. But it could also be that, now the dust has settled, as you say, and you compare them to other movies with that. Now the excitement and the hype is gone. It's you're seeing it for what it is. I don't know.
Or maybe it's just, it was a bridge. It led us out of a very bad patch.
Yeah.
Michael, Transformers came out and did badly. Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah.
Came out, was overlooked. A few people tried to stoke up nostalgia for it, which is fucking hilarious. You just can't make movies like this anymore. And it's like, if that's the only accomplishment of Marvel, then thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God for it, because, Jesus, to return to 2009, woof. So, maybe that's it. Maybe it was a bridge needed to get us out of here. And now it has... Bridge. I think it may well have improved things. I think movies like Black Panther, and yes, even Captain Marvel, have improved things and have put to rest, because for a long time, Elektra was the sort of stick they used to beat to death, and then Sucker Punch as well. Any female-led sort of big-budget movies. But hopefully that's putting paid to that idea, although I still can't think too many outside of the MCU. Might be overlooking something.
Haywire.
Barbie. My God, let's hope Barbie does well.
Yeah.
Let's hope for that, and then maybe that'll usher in a new era. But yeah, it's very dispiriting, and you see so many of the people involved in the MCU now speaking so disparagingly about working on it, just talking about it in terms of it being a job. I think Robert Downey Jr. recently did an interview where he described some of his films as content, and he had in the interview kind of went through and said, "How about this?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's content."
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, it kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah,
but
it does.
Anyway. I'm sure I can establish a better... Because, those few movies that I do have, those 7, I do feel fairly emboldened towards them. I'm fairly happy that they do stand as films that are good. So, I don't know. Anyway, we've strayed away a little from Antman and Wasp, but...
I can actually hear the mower outside more than I can hear you.
I can hear it now.
Okay.
For the first time, I can hear it.
Right.
It stopped now. Let's try and steer ourselves back. Well, quick fire, but let's try and steer ourselves back just momentarily. Because, I think the problem is now is this, that everything we've just spoken about is very hard to remove from this experience. It's hard to just go on a fun adventure, suspend disbelief, and go along with all of this, because you are just thinking about it too much as a strategy. And that was the great thing about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, is that it's almost wonderful that it's so messy. That it's got so many, weird little details and touches, because it does give you the impression that this was relatively hands-off.
Yeah.
And I don't know what relationship it is that James Gunn has managed to strike with Marvel to get that kind of freedom, but you do get the impression it's not the same kind of a freedom offered to everyone, as evidenced by all these movies that have interesting ideas, but then also have the sort of Marvel formulaic elements sort of thrown in, namely big action scenes.
James Gunn's a moneymaker. You can trust him. He can do what he wants.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's just the meritocracy of box office, it seems to be. Or at least you hope it. Well, I don't know if you hope it is. Quite frankly, I'd love it if Marvel could say, you know what, we're making bank. You make this. Do what you want. Doesn't matter if it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm worried the time for that might have passed, and now that Antman and Wasp has bombed, they might be making, safer bets than ever.
God.
Movie execs always take the worst lessons.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
I would consider it a bad thing. I think risks, you can't be risk averse in movie making.
No.
Anyway, let's
go away.
Quick fire.
I liked the line.
Why is jail calling?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. A similar line then later on when she's like, "So why were you in jail?" And Cassandra just says,
Oh, just jail stuff.
Yeah, that's
good.
cool. During the meal, when everybody is saying, "Well, yeah, you saved the world, but what do you do now?" Because they were monsters. They talk about him going to fight Captain America, and he went, "No, I went to fight for Captain America." He goes, "I wouldn't fight Captain America. I'm not insane." Which I liked as a, it wasn't about a moral or ethical thing. It was just, I'm gonna fucking fight Captain America. It was good.
Good stuff. I liked it got me all three times. Both times I saw it in the cinema. I saw it with different groups of friends, incidentally. It wasn't like, God, just see this again. Two different bunches wanted to. And actually, Jack and Amelia wanted to see it in 4DX. And that was a hilariously stupid process when we saw it. When we saw Multiverse of Madness in that thing. Like, we spent the first 10 minutes of that movie just laughing at how ridiculous that was. Even that ridiculous, stupid roller coaster experience was made dull by this movie because of how much dialogue there is.
Oh my god!
Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, an emotional pitch. Nevertheless, both times I saw this at cinema, the bus transition got me, which is you have this beautiful sort of saccharine shot of San Francisco, and then the shot pans a little to say San Francisco, and then it pulls away because it's actually the side of a bus.
Cool. Very nice. Yeah. So I liked the only times the CG was something I appreciated was in just the character designs of the big flying manta ray thing, and then also the jellyfish dude.
Oh yeah, the little jellyfish dude. Him running was very good.
Yes,
I enjoyed that.
He was great.
Okay, yeah. So for the most part, like the lack of comedy that works was noticeable for me. But one line that I enjoyed, potentially they just got Paul Rudd to improvise for ages until this came out, was when they put the radio on and it turns out to be him reading his own book.
Yes.
And one of the lines we hear is, then this space raccoon appeared, and it was something like, I didn't know if he knew who I was. I was just happy to meet a raccoon that could talk.
Yeah.
And there was just something so childlike about it that it amused me.
I think the next bit that you can hear underneath them being like, "Oh boy, you're listening to yourself," kooky music playing. Yeah. There's also like the next bit of the book is, and then I met her, and it's another like weird thing, and that adds to that childishness of just, this is just a book about all the crazy little dudes I met and how cool that is. And that was kind of charming.
That's cute.
So Veb the jellyfish, who was voiced by David Dasmalkian. His introduction was my favorite thing of the entire fucking movie, because he produces an ooze that is like the babelfish or the babblefish from Hitchhiker's Guide, and he comes into shot in front of Paul Rudd. He's like his two long fingers steepling, and he goes, "Did you drink the ooze?" And there's a little pause in between drink and the ooze.
Did you drink the ooze?
Which was really, really cute as he's doing this. And then there's a moment a few lines later where he thinks, "Oh, maybe the ooze is wearing off," and he goes, "Oh, I could pour the ooze into your hole," and he becomes really obsessed with the idea of how many holes, just how many holes people have in general, and he keeps developing this interest in Paul Rudd's holes. And as the mind reading guy, which we haven't mentioned, comes in to say
from The Good Place.
Oh, that's him. Okay. Yeah. So he says his name is Scott Lang, and he has 7 holes. And the gasp,
He has 7 holes.
of Veb as he turns back to Scott Lang in wonder was really, really cute and endearing. Okay. I loved it.
Good stuff. Yeah. Speaking of that weird group of like freedom fighters, I quite enjoyed the design of Lighthouse Head. The guy's got like a weird laser for a head. I thought when he stepped onto the sort of pinnacle and, there was an upward view of him, it seemed quite good in terms of this is an alien world where things don't work the way they should. I was just going to say they kind of overwhelm you with those kinds of details sometimes, like the crowd scenes, the Mos Eisley stuff. There's no time to really take any of it in, but that was a nice contained shot.
the particle ray head cannon thing looked kind of crisp and nice at times.
Yeah.
And it looked like all the pixels coming off of it kind of looked like a can of lilt or something. It looked really refreshing. It was quite nice.
I'd love to drink that guy.
Oh, fucking drink that guy all day, mate. Bill Murray's intro, there was a good beat.
Oh, yeah, Jesus. I mean, they really hype that up. Like, oh, here's this fucking guy. It's weird. Weird in the context of, what if you didn't know that was Bill Murray? Or you didn't know who Bill Murray was?
Yeah. Which,
the impact on the plot is none.
Nil. But yeah, it's a good, like... Yeah, it's kind of like a minimal dance groove or minimal techno beat, and it's pretty cool.
Pretty good, I think.
It's actually pretty good.
Pretty good, actually. I do like the aesthetic they ripped off from Mad Max and Dune, and a little bit of Nausicaa, Valley of the Winds, which is namely the sequence where they hitch a ride. All they're doing is just hitching a ride. And with the desert people who have like these weird creatures and big balloons and goggles and visors, and the desert actually is one of the few parts of the Quantumverse that did look at least somewhat attractive.
Yeah, okay. God, I wish they'd have just shot them on, like they could have just gone to a desert.
Yeah.
And augmented, or gone to a forest and augmented with CGI, you know.
Yeah.
Could have done so much more. But there was some cool, as ever, with the digital, like the CG work, there's always really interesting design in there. It's just being able to see it.
Yeah.
So there's a moment during one of the fights with the freedom fighter refugee people where it turns out that Cassie's taken a suit and she's doing some punching and some jumping and some anting, and Paul Rudd has to save her from getting massacred. And rather than lecture her, he starts trying to give her advice on her technique. And it felt like a very fatherly, like a Hollywood father action thing to do. He was like, quick, jump and tap. That's how you do it. And that was kind of sweet.
Yeah.
That was one of the closest moments. That was one of the closest moments we got to, their father and daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the nature of their relationship. It surprisingly does not come out much in this.
Yeah.
Except in my next one.
Ooh.
One thing that Michael Douglas I found was largely on autopilot throughout this entire thing, but he does really manage quite well the whole father-in-law thing with Paul Rudd, possibly because that's the main relationship you've had across 3 movies, which is insane considering nothing is done with it in this. But one moment where that shone through was when the giant ants have shown up with like robot limbs in the sort of Quantumverse. And Scott just says,
"Are these your ants from the ant farm?"
Yes, Scott, they're my ants.
Just the dumbest fucking question. And that was very well delivered by Douglas.
He probably felt the hostility as he was delivering the line, and
he was.
You could feel
unable to deliver it. I will say the second time I watched it in 4DX, it was with a particularly undemanding group of teenage girls behind us who laughed at every single joke, except the "you read my book?" every goddamn word, which is a line I really found irritating. And was glad that it even managed to fail with this bunch of teenagers behind me.
Ah, fantastic. Well, there is a God, clearly. It's a shame. Well, it's a shame that it's Quantumania that has the in defense of socialism line, but Michael Douglas delivered it fairly endearingly, I thought.
Yeah. Charged word.
Yeah.
Who plays Gentora, the muscle lady? You've said her name a couple times.
Is it
Katie
O'Brien? Yeah.
Yeah. Like her a lot.
She's great.
Physicality's great. Delivery's quite good.
She's a martial artist.
She's a martial artist, and it showed. She did a few of the good moves that were in the movie.
Yeah. That we were allowed to see.
We were allowed to see. Liked her. It's kind of a bummer that I imagine this is going to be her only role in the MCU, unless they return to the bloody Quantumverse.
And they might.
They might, maybe.
You don't know. Yeah. Maybe Nick Fury zips down to it in the Secret War. I'm not going to watch it, but maybe he will.
Maybe he will. Oh no!
Jesus. There's a slow-mo shot of father and daughter running against a green screen, but the two of them running was a real physical thing, and the two of them running together made me reminded me that they were father and daughter, and that was nice. I like that. Yeah.
Right. Cassie, when she's giving her big inspirational speech, there's a couple of moments at like bad movies where a relatively good thing gets said, and this is so basic. Like this is, you know, what's his name? Who was in The Mighty Ducks? The other Sheen brother,
Emilio Estevez.
Emilio Estevez. Thank you. It's something he would say to the Ducks in their like darkest moment, but there is a moment where she says, "I know it feels like all we do is lose," and yeah, that resonated because that does sometimes feel how that goes when you're in a particular part of the political spectrum these days. Yeah, so it was nice to hear that echoed. It reminded me of the sort of Rise of Skywalker, you know, this is how they win by making you think you're alone kind of thing, which is bland enough that, you know, anyone can agree with it. And the same with all we do these days is lose. You know, I'm sure that the right wing feel that way as well, even though literally everything's working out great for them.
Except for in Australia.
Oh, yeah, fuck you guys.
Yeah, it's like a dick.
Oh, shit. Meanwhile, your most prominent right-wing Australian man is busy ruining the world. Thanks, Rupert.
Yay. He's doing everything he can.
Oh, love that guy.
Oh, look at him trying.
The fight at the end was very well choreographed. It was good physicality from both performers, and it was filmed competently by Reed, and in a way that actually felt physical. There was some anger there. There was some genuine threat. It was
visual storytelling.
Yeah, visual storytelling. There was a good moment, and you did get to feel a little bit, oh shit, you know, about Paul Rudd, who was massively outmatched in that moment.
Yeah. Suddenly I knew the stakes. Suddenly I had something to care about, and I knew that, you know, there was going to be an end to it very, very soon. And that, that was good. More of that would have been nice.
Would have been. That is actually my last one.
Ooh. Well, okay, brilliant. Well, it's going to be. You're not going to be happy with me ending on a MODOK line, but.
Oh boy! No, it's fine. I thought, a MODOK line's fine.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. So, yeah, when he's dying, just before that, Cassie is saying, you know, maybe you could stop being such a dick and help us, and he does. You know, he redeems himself, and for everybody listening, we've been going, you know, really hard on the MODOK lore, so we're all as relieved as we were, but he helps, and he's dying, and Cassie says something like, "Oh well, you know." The whole being a dick thing is mentioned, and he goes, "It's too late. Look at me, I'm such a dick."
Yeah,
and the resigned, sighing way that he delivers it is good.
Yeah, that is quite good.
Yeah.
Any others?
Oh yeah, no, actually. Oh yeah, fuck yeah, I've got one more. The end monologue. The way Paul Rudd performs that mental process of suddenly realizing that you fucked up and done something terrible, but then trying to reason your way out of it and just pretending everything's fine. I really liked.
Yes, when you actually get behind the obvious gag, there's a good thing being done. Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. Good stuff. Right, now let me begin the potentially somewhat complicated process of checking with the OG team. The reason is, I decided that it must be possible to get a bloody better reaction from people, so I tweeted this out a few times.
Okay.
So,
and you thought you'd try this with Quantumania.
Yeah, it's a Marvel movie. Surely we can get people talking about Marvel movies. Anyway, here we go.
Okay.
Pitney and Amelia's Bitchin' Boutique, sorry. I thought it might be a poutine place. Bitchin' Boutique, at Bitchin' Boutique on Twitter, said, I thought it was great and really entertaining, and I was glad that I didn't need a damn scorecard to keep up with confusing multiverse shit while I'm trying to watch a movie. I think in general, yes, because the multiverse thing has been massive dollar signs for studio execs, obviously, because it means, oh my god, we can bring in anyone we can get from other franchises or other things we have the rights to. We can just do it all.
Fucking hell.
You know, and that's obviously a very depressing reality to have to then exist in. But yes, good. I'm glad you found it really entertaining. Fives, aka Bronx Smash at
hey,
Bronx Smash. Hey Bronx. I thought it was a fun popcorn click, and watching it on Disney Plus, was definitely better than an overpriced theater. Oh, come on now. Get into those theaters. They need you.
The 4DX theater.
Get into a 4DX theater at this stage. I mean, it might be a good thing. I think it would be a good thing if Disney did just surrender on the movie theater, and the movie theater thing can be, become an experience again for other things. But, at least for the meantime, although Disney does have extremely strict rules, it is still, if you're going to watch a Marvel thing, it's still best to do so in a theater if you can. If you can, please.
If you can.
If you can. Come on, please. Please do it. Sarah Keep! One of the best people. One of the all-time best ones that God managed to get going. At Penguin Panic, said, I like that Ryan Bergara made an inexplicable cameo in the first 5 minutes. I forget who this is. She told us earlier today. He plays the guy who pays for Scott's drink.
Yeah. God, I cannot remember what Sarah said he was in, and it's because I hadn't seen that other thing.
It was a TV show, I think.
Yeah.
Can't remember it. I'm not very good on television.
Probably cool, though, if Sarah likes it.
Oh, it's probably cool. She's got really good taste. And meanwhile, Niall Bryden, at Bryden15 on Twitter, said, the only new Marvel I've seen post-Endgame was the first ep of Secret Invasion. I won't be finishing it. Wow. I'm just exhausted with both DC and Marvel. At least, I have a new Toho Godzilla movie at the end of the year to look forward to. That's true.
Well, there you go.
That is true. There's a new Toho Godzilla movie coming out, and I'm pretty excited about it, honestly. So,
well, I'm excited for you.
Thanks, mate.
That's
the last Toho Godzilla movie was extremely good. That's somebody yelling Steven, so that's probably not related.
To the metaverse.
To the metaverse?
Still Facebook. Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. God.
Jennifer Soames reacted with a big surprised face.
Oh.
I agree, Jennifer Soames.
It's like, oh, the Marvel boys finally sticking it to Marvel, eh?
Here we go. Oh, hey. In spite of everything I've said, it's still a hell of a lot better than DC.
Yeah.
This is still better than most of DC, except for some of them.
Aquaman.
I mean, yeah, we go down from 7 to 3, I think, with DC.
Yeah.
Patreon.
Wonder Woman's better, obviously.
Oh god, yeah.
Aquaman, I think Aquaman's better.
Yeah, I'd probably go for that. I mean, the 3 I really like, and I know we differ on one of these, is I like Wonder Woman, The Suicide Squad, and Birds of Prey.
Oh yeah. Suicide Squad obviously is fantastic.
Oh,
and Birds of Prey, yeah. That is where the pools.
That's where the pools differ. And then in terms of passable movies, I really dislike things like Shazam and Aquaman though, because they are passable, but they're just so unremarkable.
I found Shazam fairly obnoxious.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, Mark Reed says, like most people, I'm kind of sick of Marvel movies now. To me, this is just fine. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. That said, quite like some of the Quantum Realm world, characters and vehicles and stuff that seem to represent microbes and whatnot. Also, MODOK was just so bad, it was pushing into funny. Fair enough. That's good stuff.
That's fair enough, Mark Reed.
We are in a similar mental state. Elliot J. O'Neill says, I've only seen a compilation of MODOK moments from the movie and decided that was quite enough. Yeah, that'll do it.
Why am I watching this?
Oh, here we go. Oh my god, the Patreon's turned out. Okay, Luke Ciancio said,
fuck yeah.
Patreons, assemble! I believe... Build a better one! Meanwhile... I believe this is the first film I've ever watched where I did not laugh, chuckle, murmur, or even meep at a joke. Not one landed. But good things.
God.
Out of context, some of the background art and CGI looked beautiful. I am sure someone worked hard on it. Very true.
Yes.
Every now and then, the film threatens good ideas, like the level 2 ant civilization that just gets swept under the rug. It's so easy to do that with ant civilizations, is the thing.
Yeah. The main thing.
Or talking about the success of a more socialist, compassionate society. Agreed. It's very good.
Yeah.
Some of the Kang scenes were genuinely unsettling. I felt Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer in particular straining against the bland dialogue to give it some life, using those acting chops they have. They've got them. They grill them up every night.
They've got them. Oh, they've got them, mate.
They've got them.
In pristine condition.
You don't even have to worry about that. Finally, we have L. Scott Jones. Oof. Good luck. I'm ambivalent towards the Marvel stuff, but I enjoyed the first 2 Ant-Man movies somewhat, as Paul Rudd is charming. There were some good supporting cast members. They had fun heists and fun interactions of shrinking people interacting with the real world in sometimes clever ways. The movie either removed or inhibited all those things for a murky journey into a po-faced Dionysus in garishly rendered candy land. I did not like it. Agreed, yeah, it really did kind of move away from everything that kind of defined and made those first two movies even what they were, such as they were.
Yes. Congrats to all of our fans who wrote in and summarized in a couple of sentences what took us 2 hours.
I forgot I asked for more from more people.
Oh, God.
I asked Jack and Amelia, having seen it with them, and Jack said, Paul Rudd, he's always charming. Agreed. Amelia said, I liked Antman, but I think it's because I haven't seen many of the other Marvels. I had zero context going in, and then later clarified, it just meant that anything that didn't make sense, I chalked up to not knowing the franchise, which gave it a lot of leeway.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. It's just like, oh, this was really bad. Maybe that gets explained why in a previous movie.
Yeah, it must be why. Yeah.
And Katie, Katie Maiden, at Katie Maiden, the person, she's not on Twitter, says, the start bit, where he's talking about what it's like to be an Avenger, and it's all like bright and happy. I don't even remember that, but honestly, it was mostly trash. So there you go. Yeah. My great friends.
Aw. That segment, that was Paul's Great Friends, a new segment.
I'm highlighting one every week for the next week.
Wow, God, that's nice. That's nice. Like really a nice thing.
Well, that's a nice thing. I'd like to highlight my great friend Paul Goodman right now because he's a trooper. He's a wonderful man.
Oh, thank you.
He's a beautiful soul.
He's a tired old trooper today.
He is, but he's brought it home. He's brought the bacon home, and
it's here. Look.
Yeah, look at that bacon.
Spread it out.
Yeah. Oh, pretty fucking good bacon.
We should probably stop recording so we can go and eat this delicious bacon.
I think we should go chew on some of that bacon, mate. Before we do, we'll just quickly talk about the one better thing.
Oh,
the better thing! The one better thing.
Better! Paul.
Oh?
Paulie Paul.
Hey.
Interstellar's better than this.
Oh, Interstellar's better than this?
Yeah. It shows us that time can be represented as a physical dimension.
Uh-oh.
You should probably, everybody check out my EP.
Knights of Sidonia, it sounded like.
That's it, also that. I just re-released Knights of Sidonia. No one has noticed.
Matt Bellamy tweeted at you and said, "This is fucking tight."
He's like, "This is a tight, the most original song I've ever heard." And then he stole it, and then it ended up as something just completely different.
But the original Matt Bellamy who came up with that song like in the noughties heard about it and is now suing himself
from the past.
And that's what Interstellar teaches us is possible.
Yeah, and I love it for that. Infinity War was a great Marvel alternative. Doctor Strange 2 is the latest, is the most recent Marvel that I enjoyed watching. And it goes some interesting places, and I love that Sam Raimi got to be Sam Raimi.
Agreed. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Multiverse of Madness. And really don't give a shit what people are saying about, but they completely destroyed the Illuminati, and they're like some really good. It was fun. It was fun that they did that.
Yeah.
It was funny. I laughed when they did that.
It was fun. Bruce Campbell was punching himself. It was a fun film.
Oh, it was a fun film. It's over.
Best post-credit sequence.
Yeah, it's up there with the Captain America Homecoming one. I think. Yeah. Just wonderful.
Yeah.
The cut. Exactly knows where to cut that. Most recent Marvel thing I enjoyed was Guardians 3.
Okay, that, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then otherwise, yes, I think that's correct. Yeah, so there's that, but you've all seen that. You all went and saw that. Of course you did.
It.
You've all seen it. God bless you. So what else? Oh, that's right. So I think a big part of the sort of heart of the movie, beyond the sort of fairly rote kind of familial relationship thing, is this idea of, bad things are still happening even if they're not happening specifically to you. So it's this idea of, this is not our fight. This cause might be righteous, but it's not ours to fight, is obviously a hugely popular kind of meme that I nevertheless had quite a bit of trouble tracking down. Read through the tropes page of things like Casablanca, trying to figure out what people call it, but it is in Casablanca, of course. It appears to be in most Spike Lee movies. There's always the thing that the sort of fight for racial justice is happening, and our characters pretty much just don't want to get involved with it because they're too busy sort of living their lives, but then it kind of all comes crashing in around them when they realize that, the problem is as big as it is. And you can see that in Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, it's in Jungle Fever, it's in Black Klansman even, Yeah, it's all the way through his career, so, do check those movies out. And then something occurred to me. Oh, also, just aesthetically, this movie reminds me a lot of Tron. The original 1982 Tron, because they accidentally get sucked into a science experiment to a crazy fake world. And although that movie is not terribly good, and I think actually Legacy kind of holds up a little better.
Okay.
It's got better music, better visuals. Like, the plot is terrible, but, that's...
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. It's just...
God, this is just Jumanji, isn't it? This is Jumanji...
It is... It's very similar to Jumanji. It's and those movies are all significantly better, even the original Tron. So yeah, I'd recommend those.
Lovely.
And that's the one better thing.
Better thing.
The one better thing.
Better one.
Paul, how can people find out more about our shorter episodes?
Way.
We're like half a Halloween right now.
Wow, we should just keep going, mate. Well, what else? Should we just talk about This Is 40?
The cinematic universe.
Well, as we approach This is 40 in our lives.
Oh no!
Jesus Christ!
It got real.
Oh, that's why Paul sounds so tired today. It's not that. It's nothing to do with that. This is a bad experience for me. Nothing to do.
I eat poorly.
Yeah, but we've got a few years left in us, and if you wanna ride that diminishing wave with us, then you can do so at Twitter and Facebook at OGT Pod. You should probably subscribe to the podcast instead of just remembering us every now and again like some sort of fever dream of I've been meaning to listen to their episodes and I keep forgetting. Why don't I just subscribe? You should do that, and stick around the Twitter and Facebook, or maybe become a patron, because we put out the call for the OG team. And if you have seen Quantumania and you thought, why didn't I get in with my good thing I really liked blank, then you could have done by just being on the ball a bit more, being on top of that ball as it rocks to and fro on between the great valleys of life.
Our butts.
Yeah, but aka our butt cracks, the valleys of life.
And the Paulies of life.
I was going to say I'm the Paulies of life.
Oh shit!
I'm the other one.
I'm
the other.
That's the synchronicity. That's that Pacific Rim entering the rift.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Other words from Pacific Rim, bro.
Yeah. String a bell. Nope.
Stack of Pentecost.
There we go. See?
Nosebleeds.
In sync. And remember, the one good thing about Antman and Wasp it's when the crazy jellyfish man goes running about when he's all crazy.
Yeah. Look at him.
That's what I like.
Go.
And that's cinema.